Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. This is a podcast of compilation of 4 previous Crypto Hipster podcast episodes from season 6 through 8. This particular episode has 3 interviews from season 7 and 1 from season 6. It is episode 31, Only the Young, How to Make Decentralized Finance, DeFi, a Safe and Attractive Journey for all generations to benefit. This podcast episode is a compilation of 4 clips from 4 different podcasts. All my podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. You can listen to the Crypto Hipster podcast, and you can listen to these Crypto Hipster curtain calls. My conversations first in this episode, I spoke with out of season 7. I spoke in April 2024 with Nikita Ovchinnik, who is the co-founder of Barter DeFi. We spoke about redefining the future of decentralized finance with intents and solvers, which are innovative breakthroughs that they've created and built. Check that out. Second, I spoke with James Lucas, who is the COO and co-founder of Lamina, and that was in August of 2024. We talked about how to build a DeFi operating system that drives mainstream adoption with improved user experiences. Also coming in from season 7, the third, is Jonathan Thomas. Jonathan is the CEO and co-founder of the Blueberry Protocol. In this episode, I titled Mixed Berries, playing off the name a little bit, diving into decentralized finance, Ethereum, NFTs, and more. And that conversation was in May of 2024. Kicking off the year in January 2024, and still season 6, I spoke with Jacob Margulies, and we talked about discovering to earn, how to build reward-based loyalty programs, and the importance of recording your life's achievements. I don't know, a lot of younger folk who looking for to at their legacy, but us older folk, 50-year-old and plus, Gen X, Boomer, generations, looking to record life's achievements and looking back and what have you accomplished, and share that with the younger generations. That kind of inspired this title today, episode 31. Entitled Only the Young, How to Make Decentralized Finance a Safe and Attractive Journey for all generations to benefit. Check it out. Enjoy this compilation of clips from 4 different episodes in the Crypto Hipster podcast over the years. Tune in next time. I'll bring you episode 32 out of this Curtain Calls compilation series. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy. You just said a magic word, though, and this is the first time I paid attention. Probably not the first time I heard it. First time I paid attention to it this week. MEV, right? So I'm going to ask you what your views are on MEV, and if it is a problem, and how does it get solved?
Right. So MEV is probably the biggest problem that Ethereum community is facing, and not just Ethereum. Actually, we see that now MEV enters other chains that generate reasonable traction and trading activity, like Solana and even Bitcoin. But MEV is, the MEV is minor extractable value, and it was coined by Flashbot's co-founder back in the early days of Ethereum, and they unveiled a huge beast that is attacking the ecosystem. So MEV, MEV. Let's explain it on a concept of front running. So front running is when a user wants to perform a swap, and a swap is navigated to some kind of DEX, for example, Curve. Yeah. And the exchange rate by Curve is algorithmic. And if a sophisticated player, a searcher or MEV bot, might input a transaction before you that would change, the exchange rate, and then you would perform a swap under like bad conditions. And then right after you, they will put another swap that would rebalance the system back to the state that it was a few seconds before you perform the swap. They can extract this easy profit of like a few $100 on every single swap. And this is really bad for the ecosystem, because people might not be aware of it. They might not know if they are protected. And when they perform a swap, they have a slippage tolerance. And if the slippage is not correctly transmitted on chain in a publicly available meme pool, then the user gets hurt. And then he's not coming back to DeFi ever again, or at least not anytime soon. And we want to avoid it. So we want to make sure that no one is kind of abusing the system in their own fashion. And there are a lot of like teams are working on it. However, solving like MEV is incredibly tough. We have like some of the smartest people working from, for example, Flashbot's team and many others. And there are more and more, projects emerge that are trying to combat it. The way we are approaching that is that MEV is kind of is going to exist by design on Ethereum mainnet in the foreseeable future. However, if we offset it by at least moving some volumes, especially during volatile periods from AMMs, and having this peer-to-peer component that we've just discussed between different UIs and matching users' transactions directly. So if I want to sell 10 ETH and maybe you want to buy 10 ETH and our orders meet each other, there is no MEV because we've just did like this direct ideal swap. And this is, like fights it in a way and reduces it dramatically. And from our perspective, it also attacks market makers a little bit, because if there is a direct swap like this exists, there is no room for market makers to improve pricing or compete on pricing, because this is like equilibrium. And yeah.
What do you do hypothetically? You guys, this comes from experience too. You guys have, your platform, everything's running well, everything works for a while, and then someday, somehow, for some reason, you become bankrupt. Your platform no longer works. The customers can't access their money. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and we've been very exposed. The team has talked about this internally a lot, and we've all been exposed to hacks, security breaches, projects failing, projects rugging, and even the big FTX failure of 2022. And we've talked about this internally, and there's a lot of things that we're doing to mitigate these kind of risks. Obviously, in DeFi, the goal is to have everything decentralized, and the mission to decentralization is, as I said, a mission. It's a journey. It's a step-by-step process, and once achieving that, will allow the protocol to run on its own, governed by smart contracts. But on the way to achieving that, there is a couple of steps we've taken. For example, we've integrated institutional grade security measures. These appear in the platform as alerts, but on the back end, it's real-time monitoring from security solutions. And this is a joint venture from a cybersecurity team that's worked with government authorities before. And basically, this feature will constantly scan the transactions that our platform is interacting with and ping any smart contract vulnerabilities that occur in real time. And this allows our smart contracts to automatically withdraw funds from interacting with the security breach. So that's one measure we're taking in terms of security. There's a lot of other measures. For example, myself having a compliance background, we know how important it is to stay compliant in terms of anti-money laundering laws, especially in the US. And we've also got this real-time monitoring structure for pinging wallets that have interacted with blacklisted wallets so that institutionals and users avoid breaching those regulations. So in terms of security breaches and compliance breaches, we are fully focused on making those features as seamless as possible on the front end, extracting them from the tech that's being used on the back end. Now, in terms of avoiding something such as the FTX crash, users' funds will be kept fully on chain inside the Lamina platform, which allows them to access through a social login, but keep their assets fully on chain. As I said, everything we're doing is fully on chain, and the goal is to create a UX surrounding this so that users don't actually know they're transacting on chain. So what we're doing is bringing the security of holding assets on chain to a centralized feel when it comes to user experience.
The centralized feel was actually decentralized, which is what people want.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of our team has worked in centralized exchanges before. We have team members from Binance, Bybit, HTX, Kraken, which is really interesting for a bunch of DeFi degen builders. And one of the things that brought us together is that we're really focused on bringing this user experience that we've worked on before into an on-chain experience. And that led us to team together and build this.
I'm under I use the Warren Buffett mindset. You know, there's like, you could have a million opportunities, but they're like in the batter's box, but you want to wait for the ball that's perfect for you, that you know
Exactly.
you know. And with that, I want to go into your view on some of the best crypto trading tips as we head into, I want to say, uncharted territory, but we've had Bitcoin halvings before. This was a little different because there's more institutions here, and there's a new political climate too. So I want to get your idea on some of the best trading tips.
Yeah, I definitely do agree that since we have witnessed these halvings previously, the biggest trading tips really come down to just looking at what happened in the previous cycles. So it's almost to the point where we are following that 4-year pattern to like almost a perfect T, where you can't really exactly know what the price is going to be day to day, but just general sentiment, you're able to know like, is this month or this week historically been an up or down week, and then just be able to pick direction that way and make a more informed decision. But this is probably the first cycle where we don't actually have like free capital. So historically, interest rates have been super low, where the cost of money has been almost non-existent. But at the same time, now we're actually having the adoption of institutions. So I think the institution adoption is kind of outweighing that pressure that we would be feeling from the interest rate hikes as far as pricing goes. So like for new people that are just joining, I would say the bigger thing to look out for is just taking in how much knowledge can you find from previous cycles and be able to use that to make a informed decision going forward.
So the halving just happened, and usually in past cycles, it's been about 6 months for the price of Bitcoin to go up after the halving.
Right. Yeah, like the 6 months to retrace all the way back to new all-time highs or back to previous all-time highs.
The issue this year is that we're going to have not only the U.S. election, but there's 30 countries having major elections, right?
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to do to the Bitcoin? And we're going to see a huge. I mean, it's if I had a crystal ball, of course, I would be like Biff Tannen from the Back of the Future movie. But like, how's that going to play a role?
Yeah, I think that's going to play a pretty large role, just because it's like here in the US alone, you see like a whole bunch of new legislation coming out, and then people getting really charged up about different political parties since they're voting their way for crypto. Can only imagine that's going to be the similar case in the other countries that are also having elections this year. So I think it's going to really come down to what are the results. Like I think a lot of people are actually being sidelined right now and just waiting for that political part or the results from the election to come out before they start moving their chips one way or another.
They said that blockchain doesn't have a use case, but you just showed that they do for the use case for the user. But you're proving that there is.
Absolutely. Really, the neat thing about it is, I'll kind of touch on the Galaxy ID and these oats. As a user, you're discovering, you're earning, and you're collecting these credentials. You're collecting these NFTs. You're collecting these oats, and now you have something authentic and verifiable that can say, "Hey, I did A, B, and C. I traded over $100,000 in volume on that specific DEX. I've been a user of this protocol for 5 days, 100 days, 1 year straight. I hold 10 NFTs, and now you can really, show anybody, whether, say, for example, you're interviewing for a job, I can say, "Hi, I collected 5 votes, 5 NFTs. I had credential A, B, and C. I've, never been liquidated in DeFi." And it's all verifiable. It's on chain. It's ultimately your on chain resume. So I think that's a really, really cool part about it.
Awesome. So we're going to get a couple of things you just said there. First, I want to get into is there was an announcement last month in December. Forbes Web3 launched on Galxe last month. How's that gone so far, and what's been some of the impact or effect that you've seen overall from not just that partnership, but some of the other partnerships you have?
Yeah, definitely. The Forbes Web3 partnership, that was a long time coming. I think we started discussing that back in the early summer. So it's definitely rewarding to see it come to fruition, and to see the success that they're having. Really, the main purpose that they wanted to use Galxe for was to, one, build up their social presence. They just released a new Twitter, so they wanted to get more of a Twitter following, amplify what they're doing ahead of some of the bigger initiatives that they're doing. So they've actually been running campaigns weekly. They have a few different campaign collections, one being the Monday Memo. And it's very neat because they're targeting, all types of users. And then they have campaigns that are targeting, users that are more niche and more targeted, such as higher level users, users that have, higher engagement on Twitter, users that have completed more Galxe campaigns. And they're able to identify those users through something called a Galxe score, where users, they mint this score. They mint an NFT, it's soulbound, and we give them a score, an on-chain score, based off a few different factors, one being your humanness score, your fame, your asset score, and your experience. And they use these different levels, and we'll give them recommendations. Level 1 equals this, level 2 equals that. And basically, users that have minted this score, and if they reach that certain level, they can come engage in these campaigns, claim oats, claim loyalty points. So it's a long-term loyalty program. And it's something, we're very excited about. The Forbes team has been really, really spectacular, and they've been very good to give us some strong PR, coverage and some branding. So we're grateful for the partnership. And we think we've, demonstrated, that we're able to really drive strong activity to what they're looking to do on Twitter.
It was human factor, fame, and were the two others?
Yeah, humanness, fame, asset score, and then experience. So experience is how many Galxe campaigns you've completed, how long you've been connected to Galxe for, meaning your wallet. Your asset score is, what are you holding on chain in terms of asset, and how much of it are you holding? The fame score, we do, we scrape Twitter, and that's how we're getting the data. And it's basically who's engaging with your posts, how many people you're following, how many people are following you. And then the humanness score is whether you have a Galxe passport or a Gitcoin passport. And then we use a few other third-party services to help us determine these specific rankings that have some sort of AI technology that analyze activity that's happened on chain for that specific wallet address. So it's quite neat. We rolled it out in, I would say, the fall, and we have close to 90,000 minted so far. So we're super pumped about it.